It all started not with a shout, but with a whisper in the digital dark. Just when people thought the constant hum of K-drama gossip was predictable, a bombshell dropped silently onto a neighborhood blog. A post that would rip open a scandal so convoluted it felt more like a psychological thriller than a celebrity news story. This wasn't about a dating rumor or a petty industry feud. This was an anonymous user, known only as A, launching a direct and deeply personal attack on actor Lee Yi Kyung. And the title alone was enough to send shockwaves, revealing the true face of Lee Yi Kyung. The post was a digital dossier of alleged crimes, filled with screenshots from KakaoTalk and Instagram that painted a picture far removed from the actor's public persona. Here were requests for explicit photos, messages dripping with aggressive language, and inappropriate comments that made fans' skin crawl. To add a layer of disturbing authenticity, there were pictures supposedly taken on set, paired with his own selfies, suggesting a chilling breach of professional boundaries. This was no longer just gossip. It was an accusation with evidence, and it spread like wildfire across every timeline and forum. The response from Yi Kyung's agency, Seong ENT, was swift and brutal, a classic play from the K-Entertainment Crisis Management Handbook. They didn't just deny the claims, they went on the offensive, filing a defamation case and promising to fight back without any mercy or settlement, no matter how long it took. They framed this as a malicious attack, severe enough to cause significant damage to both the actor and the company. For a while, Yi Kyung himself remained in the shadows, the silent star letting his corporate shield do the talking. But the pressure mounted, and eventually he broke his silence. His statement was one of a man cornered and frustrated, claiming he had been tormented for months by someone he called a German who would constantly appear and disappear, sending threatening emails to his company. He revealed he had been advised not to respond, to stay quiet because the claims were believed to be completely false from the start. This created the first major fork in the narrative road. Was A vindictive stalker, a Sasaeng fan of the international variety, hell-bent on destroying a star who ignored her? Or was this the calculated defense of a guilty man hiding behind legal threats? Just as the public was trying to pick a side, the plot twisted again. The anonymous accuser, the so-called German woman, re-emerged, refusing to be silenced by the legal papers and public statements. She came back with even more accusations, throwing gasoline on a fire everyone thought was dying down. This back and forth created massive confusion. With the accuser's story seeming to shift and the agency's firm denial, many netizens began to lean toward the idea that this was an elaborate hoax. The scandal seemed to be on life support, a bizarre story that would soon be forgotten in the fast-paced world of K-drama news. But that assumption was shattered completely on November 26th when popular YouTube investigator Lee Jin-ho entered the scene. His channel, Entertainment President, dropped a video that changed everything. Shocking exclusive. The real reason I exposed him. Lee Yi Kyung's German accuser speaks out for the first time. This was no longer a collection of anonymous screenshots. This was a person giving an interview, putting a voice to the claims. In the interview, A meticulously built her case, explaining that it all began innocently enough back in February of the previous year. After watching one of his dramas, she, a fan living in Germany, sent him a direct message. To her surprise, he allegedly responded, acting shocked and curious about her life in Germany, even asking for a selfie too, as he supposedly said, make sure she was really from there. She painted a picture of a gradual descent, where daily conversations slowly turned explicit. She denied the agency's claim that she sent explicit photos first, insisting her intentions in going public were genuine, born out of fear and a desire for truth. She described how his comments became increasingly scary, a slow burn of discomfort that escalated into alarm. Then she dropped her biggest revelation yet, addressing the agency's claim that the evidence was AI manipulated. She confessed that a Korean acquaintance had actually advised her to claim it was AI generated, promising that this would make the issue go away within 2 weeks and protect her from legal trouble. This was a staggering admission. Was she admitting to lying about the AI, or was she explaining why that rumor even existed? The lines between victim and perpetrator were blurring beyond recognition. But she wasn't finished. In a move that left everyone's head spinning, she soon backtracked on her own backtrack, a chaotic dance that perfectly illustrated the panic of someone in over their head. She explained that she feared being blamed if another victim came forward, a fear that pushed her to try and set the record straight with one final statement. She clarified her position regarding the blackmail and defamation complaint, stating she hadn't received any official notice but was prepared to respond. She then offered a new, crucial piece of the puzzle, why she had emailed his agency back in May. She claimed the messages from Yi Kyung had become so unusual that she started to suspect his account had been hacked. Believing the actor to be be a kind person at his core, she reached out to the agency not to threaten but to verify. Was she really talking to Lee Yi Kyung? According to her, the email exchange with the agency itself ultimately convinced her that it was, in fact, him all along. She singled out one particularly explicit message about being with 3 friends as the moment she felt genuine fear, but she vehemently insisted her email was never a blackmail attempt. She never asked for money, only for the truth. The timeline she presented was extensive, a year and a half of communication, starting on Instagram, moving to the more private KakaoTalk, with the last contact happening around April or May, after he returned from his grandfather's funeral, to which she had sent her condolences. It was a haunting detail, a moment of human sympathy in the middle of a digital war zone. Her final words were not of vengeance, but of regret. Regret that things had escalated so dramatically, and a hope that he would refrain from making such explicit remarks to women in the future, and that he would simply live well. Lee Yi Kyung, for his part, has maintained his silence since this interview dropped. The court of public opinion, however, is in permanent session. Some see A as a master manipulator, crafting an elaborate web of lies and half-truths. Others see a frightened woman tangled in a situation with a powerful celebrity whose story shifted precisely because she was scared and receiving bad advice. The scandal forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about celebrity, power, and the very nature of truth in the digital age. Where screenshots can be faked, stories can be manipulated, and the real victim in this chaotic 15-month-long drama might just be the truth itself.